I think
Plain is kind of a synonym for boring, right?
I was gonna say I hope the sequel is called Train.
And then the third is
Third is
called
called
Automobile.
Automobile. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So yeah, we're getting the shitty one done first. We're gonna do a massive catch up
yeah.
session here. Uh
Um,
so
so
this is the kind of like
Plain.
see, we were like the first few movies we saw in January, like, hey, this is like it's not always great,
This
but at
ain't
least
bad.
it's
This is decent
interesting.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
unique, and then Plane comes along, it's like, oh, this is the kind of January movie I was expecting.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the straight up boomer pandering,
Oh God.
trashy, rah masculinity bullshit, and just
Like the last Rambo movie, basically.
pretty much, yeah.
But at least the last Rambo movie's action sequence, when it finally got to it, was like actually fun.
And at least I actually had like some really like dumb funny bits, like this is what
Yeah.
it feels like. But this is fucking nothing. This is as shallow as
Oh,
shallow gets. Uh,
dude, I wouldn't even have minded all the dumb dipshit stuff if it had actually followed through on the action promise a bit more.
yeah,
Because I'll be real with you, I missed like the first half hour of this movie,
I
and
think I
I
missed
feel
like
like
the first 10 minutes.
I didn't miss anything
When did you walk in? I'm
because
curious.
because huh
When did you walk in? I'm curious.
um right as the plane was crashing.
Okay, so I saw like a little bit before you, and I can tell you, no, you didn't miss much.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, it feels like they were trying to make a movie around this, but the movie they made around this was so pedestrian and
Yeah,
like by the numbers. Get from oh, he has a family, they're worried about him. You
yeah,
have the command center where they're like, oh, we need to retrieve these people, and you have the guy who's too stuck in protocol, and you have the guy who's like clearly the real military guy that we need to admire because he knows that they need to do what they need to do to save these people.
yeah,
And like they spend so much time on this shit
yeah.
that when they actually get to the point where they start, like, they go to explore the island, right?
Yeah,
And they go to one location, and that is the extent of their exploration.
that's true.
That's all it is. And then while they're gone, the rest of the fucking passengers get kidnapped. And
Yeah.
so they go to save the passengers, and it goes perfectly well. And that's fine. And then that goes right into they get them back to the plane. And of course, somehow they couldn't figure out how to get the plane off the ground. But while they were off at that one location, the co-pilot figured out how to fix the power on the plane. So the plane is good to go, and they take off and while they're being shot at and stuff. And there's this action sequence that's like 5 minutes long,
Yep.
and then that's the movie.
Yep. And then they find a
That's
nearby
the whole
airport, and that's the
movie.
movie. That's it. That's how it ends.
Like when it ended, I was like, wait, is that really? We're just gonna pan up to the sky while he's on the phone with his daughter, and that's all we get? And like I, as you may be able to tell, I'm not worried about spoilers here. Me, like the hardcore anti-spoiler person, because
This movie
there's no
sucks.
surprises here.
No,
There's no tension. There's no stakes. Like, does anybody actually die out of aside from when the terrorists first come and they like shoot that one lady who tries to run just to show they mean business,
and they
like,
had this like the some other dude, but like that's it.
sure,
Um,
yeah, like they shoot a couple of hostages that you've never paid attention to before that moment,
yeah.
and that's it.
Like it's funny because like in my theater experience, 'cause I saw this earlier this afternoon, kind of demonstrate like, oh, that's who this movie is for. Because
Oh
there's
god.
one old geek, like older, one of those thinks they're tough guys, like the older boomers who are like, yeah, like I see, this dude
Those
chimed in
guys
with
who
his,
probably voted for Nixon.
yeah, probably voted for Nixon, definitely voted for Trump, and like it because it's a Venn diagram, it's just a circle.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but
absolutely.
Anyway, then this guy just kept chiming in with his fucking commentary the entire fucking movie. And it wasn't even like interesting or funny. It was like, yeah, hell yeah, oh, like shit like that, like in a really like oorah kind of a way. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up, you fucking poser. And the part that killed me was the part where the terrorists have the pastors lined up and they're doing like say your name in the country of the camera so we can hold you
Yeah,
hostage. Like the one guy who was the one bald guy who was bitching and moaning the entire movie comes on
yeah.
and he doesn't say anything, so they fire a gun on his ear, which is a great way to get somebody to talk, when they
Yeah.
can't hear. Um, to do that, and then he says his name and country after that, and the guy goes, "Oh, what a pussy!" I'm like, motherfucker, like you will not last
Also,
a
in that
fucking second.
situation, what I hate is like really thinking about it. In that situation, other than like your own insecurity about your masculinity, what is the point of resisting?
Yeah, there really isn't.
You you've got like 30 people being held hostage. You don't think that they're going to try to make an example of somebody? You don't think you're probably putting people in danger in that situation? Do you think you're going to bust free of your zip ties and take on this whole fucking militia base on your own? Like what is your big plan, buddy?
Well,
Like
apparently this guy thinks he can. I took a look at him after I was walking out of the theaters. I was just so curious because he was in the row in front of me, and of course it was a guy with like a Budweiser hat and a beer belly, and I was like,
oh my god.
and I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. You wouldn't last 5 goddamn seconds in a real scenario like that.
These guys would break you in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
You have no idea what these people are like.
but again, like that is the person these movies are for, where it's like no plot, no character, nothing interesting, just like here is a generic white male masculine figure for you to project yourself onto and feel cool for a little while. But even then, not that cool because nothing interesting or cool actually happens.
What, here's another thing about it, though. This dude is like the definition of an everyman. He was what in the Air Force, right? And that's the extent of his military experience.
Yep,
But
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 there's
he
even.
was like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
it is the epitome of like just this stupid concept of your everyday tough guy just wanting to do the right thing and putting everyone else like there was this one point where he's like, we have to go rescue them from the military militia base, and the guy's like, well, what about your family? Like, you want to see your family? And I was like, what if don't you want to see your family again? And he's like, yeah, but what about them being able to see their families again? And so this guy with no fucking actual training
Mm-hmm.
decides that he's going to go and take on this guerrilla army.
Yep, that
And
scared away the actual like Philippine army too.
yeah, the actual army is scared of dealing with these guys, and he's gonna go take them on like on his own.
But
With the one guy, Luke Cage. It was nice to see Luke Cage
I
again.
like that actor, so I was happy to
Oh
see him
yeah,
in this.
no, he actually brought some good personality to it. I liked it. They
appreciate he
didn't
was
give
the
him
only.
shit to work with.
I appreciate he was like the one character like Dribble was like, I'm gonna go in there. It's like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like, you
it is
stupid
always.
idiot.
I do appreciate that there is a black dude willing to call the white dude out on his dumbass bullshit sometimes. Just like, I'm going to go take care of this. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I
Like,
really
dude, what do you
appreciate
think's
that.
gonna happen?
Yeah, like someone needs to tell these white boys, like, calm the fuck down. You're not Rambo.
But like
But then,
if
of
you want,
course, you had the mercenaries come in to save them. And I did appreciate that the dude with the high caliber sniper rifle, like, shot a few guys, and it did show it properly where like it took out a chunk of them and flung them backwards. Like, that was fun.
yeah,
That
that's
was
kind of cool. Boomer
the
guy
movie
like
could
that.
have used like 10 times more of that,
Yeah.
but that was,
Boomer guy liked that a lot. He was very vocal during that sequence.
oh yeah,
Uh,
I'm sure it's the one part of the movie that's worth a damn.
but like
Well,
if you want to put like other.
there's one fight, that fist fight. There's like a one long
Oh yeah,
take fist fight that happens when Gerard Butler first encounters a bad guy, and that's
yeah, it was all
and of
right.
course this dude who's never fucking taken a life in his life just fucking breaks this dude's neck with no problem. Like,
But like, if you want the scene that kind of clearly demonstrates, like, oh, this is exactly the kind of cynical, like, cheap movie this is when the military guy in the airport, the one is telling like, you don't know shit, sit the fuck down kind of thing.
Mhm.
Watch the clip of Gerard Butler just choking out a passenger.
Yeah, yeah. One of
And
those
which
fucking rowdy passengers on the flight, like acting out, you know?
yeah, he started punching somebody, but like, and then he just goes like, I like this guy after watching him just choke about a passenger unconscious. And of course, Boomer guy goes, hell yeah. So like, oh, okay. That's what
Yeah,
this
I was
is.
like, wow, okay, that's the extent of this character development. Cool.
Yeah. So, but
Um,
like that's exactly what it is, though. Just shameless, like written in a day kind of trashy movie. That's not even like entertaining enough to have anything of value.
so for me, I think the point that was the funniest for me, in terms of just how brainlessly this movie attempts to manipulate you emotionally,
Mm.
is basically like near the very end when they're almost done. Um, Gerard Butler's daughter back at home
I know you're
does
going
this thing which I could not understand, and I just started laughing because it's one of those moments where the movie very suddenly out of nowhere just starts playing really overbearing like violin music, like string orchestra being like empathy and and like she goes and she sets up her phone on the dining room table
Mhm.
and sits on the floor next to it and starts going like Dad, I don't know if you're ever gonna get this, ever gonna see this, but I really love you, and you were always there for me, and you're the best dad, and you always talk like all this stuff, like this super sentimental shit.
Mm.
And first off, the movie's almost over at this point. Like Gerard
Yeah.
Butler is basically like taking off in the plane from the island. Like they're almost home free. So they just cut back to her. But I was watching this and I was like, why does this feel so weird? I'm like, wait a minute. Why does this feel like she's the one being held hostage, recording a phone message that she's not sure will find its way to her father who is it's like if in Taken it's like the kind of thing where if in Taken it showed the daughter while she was kidnapped and she was able to get a hold of a phone and she's trying to record one last message for her dad to see in case she doesn't make it so that it's like the last thing she gets to say to him, so it's something for him to find if he finds her and she's already dead and she just wants to leave her last words for him to hear. That's the tone of that scene, but she's at home on her little fucking like $5 million beach house living room in
Yeah.
absolutely no danger, just worried about her dad. And what's the situation where her dad won't see this? It's where he doesn't make it home.
So
So if
why
he
are you
makes it
recording
home so he can see this message, he's gonna see her. What's
it?
this fucking thing? And it literally it does her doing this dumb fuck nonsensical thing. It does this stupid fucking music playing over it. And then it even cuts to like a mini montage of the other passengers while they're escaping, finally relieved and looking at each other and just like, oh, we're not gonna die. And like, and just that whole like this, it really amps up the sentimentality. But the basis of that sentimentality makes no sense and it's so stupid. And I I just burst out laughing in the theater, which was fine because there were two other people and it was like
Yeah.
the 11 o'clock showing and they were like halfway up towards the back row and they were definitely not giving a fuck about the movie either. But we really like I was that was honestly the best part of the movie to me because I laughed so hard. It's that bad of a movie.
It's
Like
pretty
it's
bad.
the whole movie is that shoddily thought out and put together. It's
Like,
just that bad.
yeah, this is honestly a case where I made a point to go see some theaters, and I went home and saw it like you can get it now on demand. I'm like motherfucker, I could have gone home.
No, because on demand you would have paid for it.
That's true. That's true. I would
We
have.
have our A-list plus. Like we can just go and see the movie with no extra charge.
Mm,
I think that's really the benefit there.
that is true. Which
Um,
is how we could see some of these goddamn fucking movies. I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, like 3 out of 4 movies we're reviewing, like we've seen so far this year, This one being a stinker is a pretty good ratio to start off with.
Yeah, I mean, for January movies, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So,
January movies aren't what they used to be. There's no Bye Bye Man anymore, which is kind of a shame.
that's too bad. I still
know.
have to see it, but I've heard enough about it. But in any case, this movie,
Pretty forgettable.
fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Not even bad enough to be funny enough for the most part. I wish there was more that was as bad as that moment.
Yeah.
Because
And
if it was, I might be able to recommend this as just one of those so bad it's good experiences. But the whole movie is just so aggressively unimaginative and bland.
Yep.
And it makes me sad that they wasted the talents of the likes of Gerard Butler and God, I don't know the name of the guy who plays Luke Cage. I just know him as Luke Cage.
He's Luke
But I
Cage.
love him. He's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
But
He just
yeah,
fucks off. Like that's his character arc.
yeah, he gets a bunch of money and he fucks off onto an island that has no way off of it, that is run by just this guerrilla terrorist organization. Where'd he go?
Like he could have just.
It's not
hopped
like
off
he's
the
on
airport.
mainland Florida and he's just going to flee somewhere into the country and buy himself a good life, or just quietly make his way to Mexico. Like, he's on an island that is exclusively run by terrorists. There's no fucking 7-Elevens or anything. Like, where's he going?
I mean, they mentioned earlier that they can like buy their way off the island if they had enough money, so maybe he's gonna use the money to buy himself off. But I don't know.
I guess I didn't see that part, or I missed it because it's such a boring, fucking forgettable movie. But yeah, no. Just,
Yeah.
I want to give this. I want to give this like seriously like a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, it's pretty garbage.
Yeah, it's just not entertaining at all, and it's at the point where it's just like, why am I watching this? So yeah, it is a movie for the worst dads.
So my dad probably like it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like when we talk about dad movies,
Yeah,
like Ford v Ferrari, on the good side of the dad movie. This is like on the polar opposite side.
Yep.
This is like if the last Rambo movie took itself not quite as seriously to the point where it wasn't funny anymore, and then also just thought it could be sentimental and build good characters by spending time on things that is not the action, and not having them being crazy stuff like your daughter getting sex trafficked to Mexico to overdose on heroin or something. Like that's it's not as overly dramatic and implausible of a thing as that. It's literally just like, oh, okay. You get more entertainment and good writing and world building and character development out of the pilot for Lost.
Yeah.
Like by a long shot. So fuck this movie.
I mean, I kind of subject to the notion that Rambo holding a heart in his hand that's still beating is not a sentimental sentiment, because I feel like it is.
He held another man's heart in his hands.
And it was
he literally touched another man's heart in this
exactly movie. You get it.
Wait, that means boomers must hate it because that's kind of gay, Michael.
Oh, you're right. You can't. No homo in Rambo.
Yeah, no. You can't be touching hearts in Rambo. What the fuck? Like, that's
what's next? Next thing you're gonna touch. You're gonna touch horses' hearts and shit.
What?
You know, they're gonna say like, next thing you know, they're gonna want to marry an animal. You know.
Oh God, I'm not even going down that route. I watched one of the most cursed debates I've ever seen this past week, and it was. Yeah, no.
All right, well, we got 2 other movies to talk about tonight, so let's wrap this shitty one up first.
Don't watch this. It's bad.
It's bad.
And if you like it, you're bad. Stop watching us. I'm kidding. We love you.
Keep watching this, because
keep watching this.
Not
I'm
you
kidding.
watching
We love
this
you.
at home. You're wonderful. You're a beautiful person.
I don't judge you as a person. I probably won't take your recommendations on movies though. So bye.
Bye.